Hello, everybody. This is Brian from Provision Studios. I'm here with episode 3 of In the Mix. In episode 2, I basically showed you how I prepare my drum tracks for mixing. So basically, this is a pre-mix, you can call it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up where I left off. These are all the prints of the drums. And then that's I stopped the second video before I did all the prints. So here's those tracks printed out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to edit my group because I want my drum group to be reflective of the tracks that I printed. So you'll see the live tracks have the number. So I want this, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Actually, I don't need 6. That's already the VCA. So I want my kick print, my snare print, my toms print, my rooms print, and my overhead print. I want to add all of them. And then I guess since these tracks that were what I printed from are no longer needed, I can remove them from the group. So now when I go and solo my VCA, they will play through my audio device. Also, what I want to do is I want to set up my group buses. I like to put my stuff, my subgroups after my effects. So I click my last effect in my mix window, which in this case is the delay. Then I'm going to go track new, and I'm going to create stereo aux tracks. But I'm going to have a guitar bus, a vocal bus, a drum bus. I'm probably not going to have a bass bus because there's just a single track of that. I'm going to have an auxiliary or an effects bus. So I'm going to create 4 stereo aux inputs. You're going to see that they populate right here, right after the last track I selected. Then I'm going to call them drum bus, guitar bus, vocal bus, and then effects bus. And then they will all run into my submix. They will not be routed to analog 1 and 2. That it's not where they're going to go. They're going to go into this channel here, which right now it's not set up. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solo safe my buses, which is Command and then click on the solo button. So that means that when I hit solo on a track, the buses automatically will be soloed as well. So that's very handy if I go to solo my drums. If they're all routed to the drum bus and I don't have this solo safe, then nothing will play. And I'll show that for you right now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to route them all to the submix. So submix is my track. I've got effects bus, vocal bus, guitar bus, and drum bus all selected. I'm going to click Shift and Option, and then the output of one of the tracks. I'm going to click on it, go to Track, and Submix. So they are all going to submix now. All right. So I'm going to unsolo safe this drum bus so you can see what I was talking about. I've got drums soloed. I'm going to hit play. Now I'm going to route them the same way. Overheads, room, tom, snare, and kick print are all going to go to drum bus. Track, drum bus, and now if I hit play, you won't hear anything because they are being routed to the drum bus, but it is not soloed. So by hitting Command S, that solo safes the drum bus, and now it'll come through. That again, that's handy when you are creating multiple bus mixes or group sends for your various instrument groups. I'll do the same thing for the guitars once I finish doing the prints of the guitars today. When I'm done, when I have my guitar prints, I'll then route them to my bus. But right now, I'm mixing through the Soundcraft, so I won't route these to the appropriate buses yet. You'll see that later. On the aux 4, let's call that effects bus. Get that done. All right, so we got that. That all looks good. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with the bass. I'm going to take, actually, you know what? I'm going to pre-mix my drums a little bit so I can get a decent sounding drum level for my to mix my bass with. That's not too bad. That's again, this is not going through the analog console anymore. I printed all my effects, my EQ and my effects. Not that there was any effects, but that would be the idea. I would print all that onto these individual tracks, and then now these are all running through in the box Pro Tools buses, auxiliary tracks, and then now the bass track will not. The bass track is going to be going through the analog channel 12 back on my Soundcraft. So let's give that a listen. This is the raw bass track. Let me turn off the solos on the drums. Let's just go right to the bass. All right, that was the DI'd bass. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to instantiate a plugin on the bass, and today I'm using the Universal Audio Ampeg plugin set to Metal Maiden. That's the preset I'm using, and I'm not making any edits on this. I'm basically using it the way it's set up, and we'll give that a listen. All right, very good. All right, now I'm going to add in the drums. All right, not bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my virtual mix rack from Stephen Slate. I've got this with a couple compressors and their custom EQ. I got the preset bass guitar bite, and then I've got the bass guitar edgy presets on the compressors. Right now I'm going to turn the compressors off and just run the EQ. I'm going to kill the drums for a second. Again, this is without the EQ. So I like the literally it says bite. I like the high end bite that it gives me. We're rolling off everything below 82 hertz, so we're opening up the low end for our kick. I would even drop that. Who knows? Maybe 75, somewhere in there. Again, that's based on preference. I'm going to bring in my first compressor. I'm also going to zero this down. Since I'm adding compression, I'm not going to need my bass level to be as loud on the track. We're going to bring in my next compressor. All right, it sounds good. Normally I use a bass rider from the Waves bass rider. And the way I set this up is I normally set my sensitivity to high on a bass. And I get my target frequency dialed in right about where I want the bass to sit in the mix. That will change depending on the song. This may be higher or lower depending on the type of song that I got going on. And then the range will change as well, depending on how the bass player played the part. I'm not going to use that today. That's not needed in this mix. But I normally bring one in just depending on the song and how the song's played by the musician. This will be a tool that I will use to sort of control bass, depending on, again, how the performance is. I won't use it today. I'm ready to bring in some guitar and see what we got there. We got a guitar left and a guitar right. These guitars were all recorded DI, and I'm using the Amp Simulator Revolver by PV. It's what it looks like. In this case, I used the 6505 model for both guitars, but with a different preset. So here's one. I'm going to again turn off the drums and the bass and give you the isolated guitar so you can hear how that sounds. And that is analog 9. Let me enable my analog 9. Cool thing here, that's what was tracked. I love good amp modelers, and the PV Revolver is an excellent amp modeler. All right, let's show you the second one. The second one, this is the Dozen Gallons 2 preset. This is for the second guitar, and this is running through analog 10. Let's enable that one, and these are the two guitars. Here's bass. All right, so that's what we got going on there. Again, I start with drums and bass, and then I bring in guitars and I mix guitars in accordingly. What I will do with the guitars is I will start with the left channel and then the right channel, and get them to where they live to, they can live in the mix together without one overpowering the other or overpowering the drums or the bass. Let me click here to get where the bass. All right, that all sounds good. I'm going to bring in there's a lead guitar that starts there, and what I have on here is this is a same guitar player from the Guitar 1, so I'm using his same twice the weight preset. But the difference with this is I'm using the Sound Toys effect rack with the Dark Dirty Chorus eighths preset, and I turn the mix down from where the preset normally is. Because I didn't want it to be too, I didn't want that effect to be too much. And what that sounds like is this. Let's isolate that track real quick. Let's see, I got to turn 11 on my. Again, this is everything. Drums, bass, and guitars. All right, so that's what we got going on there. All right, I probably would jump now to the chorus. I want to hear how what I got going on mix-wise is working in the chorus. And I would automate that. What you just heard where the guitar lead, that little guitar lead came in, how I went up on the level, I would automate that in at the end of the mix, once I've done mixed the song. Because again, I'm not sure yet where all these faders are going to end up living once I've added EQ and compression across these tracks. So right now, I'm just getting a feel for the song. I'm listening through, seeing how everything is developing with some of my decisions I've made, make sure that they were proper decisions. What I would do next, now that I'm happy with where everything is, I would then go through and I would print all this stuff through the Soundcraft console to get the EQs off of my desk. The way the Soundcraft is set up is you can run instruments into it via XLR or TRS inputs. You can set the EQs and the effects in the channel while you're recording into your DAW, but it is the EQ and the effects do not go to they don't print onto the actual track that is recorded. You have to do the routing that I showed in the drum video, where you send this out back into the board, and then you create a print track with the input being the print that would then instantiate those EQ moves you've selected on the Soundcraft to print onto your track, like what I did with the drums. So, although that may seem like a laborious thing, I actually like it, because when I'm recording the band, I can just get the stuff tracked, and then I can go in when the band's not here and make these decisions after the fact. So I'm not having to commit to anything I'm doing in the studio with a room full of musicians. I can do it later after they've left, and I've had time to think about the song, think about the mix. My ears have had a time to rest, and then make a decision that is that I feel more confident about. So I do like that feature about the Soundcraft, that's built into it, where you really can't make that decision the day of recording. You do it afterwards when you start the mix. Okay, that's going to do it here for this video. We've covered drums pre-mixing. We've just did guitar pre-mixing, sort of how we're getting all this stuff ready to when we start doing EQ moves and stuff inside of Pro Tools. The next video, I'm going to do vocals and show you maybe some how I do pitch correction and stuff like that, how we maybe move some stuff around, take breaths out and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll start really getting into the meat and potatoes of the mix of these songs. And I'm probably going to try to get that video up sometime over the weekend, so you guys aren't waiting on it, and we can start getting some maybe feedback on some of these videos I'm putting up. That I can start making some videos on this song where you guys are saying, hey, can I hear it a certain way, or hey, what happens if you do it, mix it this way? How would that affect this or the other, or that or the other, or whatever you guys would come up with? I'll be able to actually make a video that's based upon some of the feedback I'm getting from a previous video. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comments section of the video, or you can email me at brianbuckalew@yahoo.com, and that's BrianBuckalew@yahoo.com. Thank you very much, and have a great day.